What's up, everybody? My name is Day Eve Knight. Welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm so excited. I just want to give a super shout out to my producer. He knows who he is. Thank you so much. This lovely set. I just feel so supported by community all the fucking time. I'm so grateful, and I'm really happy to be here to share this particular message that I have with you all. So I have my notes because I am not naturally brief. I'm a long-winded kind of person. So I want to make sure I'm staying on task and that I don't go off into the ethers on something and get off topic. I got my water back there, because I'm about to do a little talking, so if I get parched and whatnot. But what is this video about? Well, essentially, I'm giving myself 90 days to change my life. And I just kind of wanted to document this process, set some grounds so that y'all can understand where I'm coming from and why I'm coming from this particular place and what my plan is moving forward for the 90 days, right? So today is August 12th. And just in full transparency, your girl's account is overdrawn, okay? My bills are backed up. I'm on unemployment, okay? I've been living this nomad life since I left my the house that I was living in November of 2024. And although the community that I built is so incredibly nurturing and is like really holding me up, and I'm grateful for it, I want to show up community in a different way now. And I want to take on the responsibility of um, those bare essential things like housing, like, um, yeah, I'm just ready to be responsible. Not that I'm ready to be responsible for my own shit. I've always wanted to be responsible for my own shit, but I'm getting to a place where like I don't really want to do another year of this. Um, and it's time for me to take my reality by the reins and really put into practice what I believe, which is that I create my reality and that through the principles of the law of attraction and the laws of the universe, I can change my fucking life. So it's time to just do that. So I just want to give y'all some context on how did a bitch like me end up in a circumstance like I just described? Well, just to set the most basics of foundations, okay? I consider myself to be a star seed, right? So there's lineages and lifetimes of things that I'm working through. I incarnated into this thick ass lineage that I'm a part of, blessings to my family. But this lineage is thick as fuck. And the reason why I incarnate into a really thick lineage is so spirit can get the biggest bang for its buck as I, transmute and alchemize all these codes and beliefs and thoughts and imprints and indoctrinations that have been on my particular lineage for generations, like thousands of years, probably. But specifically, we know definitely at least since folks was enslaved, okay? Generations upon generations, 20, 30 generations of folks under the thick rule of the fear matrix, okay? Capitalism, feudalism, and its derivatives, okay, have been hard at work to make sure that we are fulfilling out that particular version of Earth. And as a starseed, I'm here to help transmute that shit and clear that shit up so that we can increase the vibration of the planet, right? So that's why I came in on some, things have been a little tough for me, but nothing that I can't handle, because I know what I'm equipped with. Just as much as the bullshit came down the lineage, so did many gifts and skills, as well as starseeddom. But I also know that this work is really rewarding. It's my favorite work to do, honestly. I'm high key a recovering serial healer, okay? I really love this shit. And this shit is very fascinating to me. The technology of the human body, the laws of the universe, the ways in which we can heal things and then literally feel the difference in the way that we respond to things and show up. Like, I love being human. I love this human shit. I love my thick ass lineage, even though sometimes it feels really, really hard. Just to get more deeper about what that lineage played out as when I, came through the womb. I grew up in a quintessential hood Black experience, okay, with a quintessential hood Black family. Now, it's not the worst of the worst, okay? I'm not saying I was in the worst of experiences, but just know, pick your Black metropolitan city and your stereotypical, Black metropolitan family, and that's what I was experiencing. For a lot of us, the chemical warfare of the 80s crack epidemic really destroyed generations of our family. And it wasn't until I was in college and I was studying this that I was able to put in some compassion and understanding for my family members. But the reality is, witnessed and saw a lot of shit growing up that I have also been having to navigate and recover from, like everybody the fuck else. But just being clear, um, and I don't say these things to trauma bond. I just want to be honest about what I've been able to manifest for myself so far. Um, my motivations, like what I was running from, or why I was so adamant about creating something different. I just want y'all to have a understanding of, what my experiences were. So things that I was seeing was addiction. I was seeing entrepreneurship and brotherhood around said addictions. I was seeing and witnessing, trigger warning, DV, colonial. I was not experiencing DV. I was witnessing DV. I just want to be clear about that. Colonial Christianity. Okay. That's a whole nother, all this shit is a whole nother video. Everything I said could be a whole nother motherfucking video. But, undiagnosed mentally ill parents and people around me with undiagnosed mental illnesses. Okay. I was definitely anxious and depressed as a kid. And so are my siblings. Unpresent male relatives, specifically my father was incarcerated, all of my childhood mostly. And for this conversation, poverty, housing instability. We moved every single year. We were on Section 8. In second grade, I moved 3 times, and I'm trying to keep up with what's happening in different school districts who have different, metrics of what kids should be doing at whatever time of the school year. So I would get to a class and I would maybe have learned everything already. So I'm bored as fuck. Or I would have learned none of the prerequisites for what the fuck they were doing and how to figure out how to catch up, but somehow maintain to keep really incredible grades because the only way out was education, as I'll get to in a second. And I also had no emotional or intellectual agency. As we know, children are seen and not heard. You do it as motherfuckers say, not as they do. Okay. And it was a lot of examples on what the fuck not to do. I will say that. And there were some lovely examples on what to do. I don't want to dog on my family. The hoes gonna be like, damn, bitch, your childhood wasn't that bad. I mean, there were moments of love, and I inherited, let's be clear, I inherited creativity. I inherited that like unexplainable resilience that Black people have, that we just won't fucking die. I love that to a degree. A video on that probably too at some point. My humor, my music taste, um, my principles and the things that are important to me, like I wouldn't trade my life experience for anything. Um, and some of the shit that I experienced was hard and I had to figure out how to get over that shit or move through it, with the help of the positive intangible inheritances that I also got, that make me who I am. I mean, even how I curse, I really love. That's courtesy of my grandparents, they curse the most. My mom's my mom's parents. And I'm so glad I know how to curse good. It sounds really melodic. So all that's happening, that's the lineage thing. I don't share that shit to be like, oh my God, woe is day. Oh, she has such a hard upbringing. Oh my God, poor Diana. That's not how I view myself. Like I said, I view myself as a star seed. I know why the fuck I incarnated into such a dense lineage with a lot of setbacks, but also a lot of incredible things that I inherited as well. And it's just to give some context about the kinds of resistance that I'm moving through in order to build the life that I'm after. So to build the life that I'm after, the thing that everybody is saying is that education is key. Education, education. So I worked my ass off. I worked my ass off in high school. to, look really stellar for colleges. I did the thing. I did the thing. I applied to 11 schools. I got into 7 out of 11. A few of those were Ivy Leagues. I got into Princeton, got into Dartmouth, got into Stanford, I got deferred by Harvard. And I really wanted to go to Harvard, but I'm so glad I did not go to Harvard. Oh my God. I think I would have died at Harvard. Stanford was perfect. And um, I get to Stanford and a little bit of my motivation shifts a little bit because the formula is starting to like not be compatible for me anymore. The formula meaning like go to school, get really good grades, get into a great college, get a degree from there, get a really good job, climb the corporate ladder, make that money, honey, save it, invest it, have a kids, get married, have kids and support them in their lives and white picket fence American dream type shit or whatever fuck. So I get to the fucking college and I realize like, oh, there's actually more options than what I thought. I know you could be a lawyer. I knew you could be a doctor, you know, and I knew there was jobs I wasn't doing. So I was like, okay, what do I want to do? But then, in high school, I was a really avid artist. I was in 2 choirs, concert choir and choreographed choir. I was a thespian. We did like 4 or 5 shows a year. So I was in speech, but I wasn't doing like persuasives and informatives and extemporaneous and shit like that. I was the dramatic interpretation, the duo, the OID, the poetry, Um, and also helped co-found a fashion club with my good friends in high school. So I was doing the fucking most while in AP classes, keeping a weighted GPA of like 4.7. I'm working. I'm like a workaholic, y'all. Like I can't stop. There was a few summers where I detasseled corn and had my job at this fast food restaurant at the same time. What the fuck I was grinding so hard for? I was trying to get it out the mud. Okay. I was just trying to like every time I went home, I would look around. I'm like, I got to get the fuck. I gotta get the fuck. So I was able to get the fuck, but then I get to Stanford and things start to shift for me. I start having like a really intense spiritual awakening. I kind of fucked around and wanted to be fulfilled. I wanted to be an artist instead of that being something that I was doing like on the side. I wanted that to be more of the work that I was doing all the time. With a lot of this combination of things, it led to me like getting panic disorder because I'm still trying to work too fucking hard, but I'm also doing this healing work that's helping me like forgive my parents and redefine my worth and my value and take it away from like what kind of grades am I getting and what kind of work am I producing, all that kind of shit. So even though I'm still trying to like make this formula work, my body, my spirit, and my mind are becoming more and more incompatible with this shit. And when I go inside of these energies, my body is having a real response. And in order to keep up with this shit, my senior year, I was doing the most. I had 3 jobs. And then I was in my honors thesis class and I was trying to start writing my first draft of my honors thesis, which also had a creative component that I had to design and figure out because I'm a fashion designer. So I was trying to figure that shit out. I'm in my first, not my first, I'm in my second PSET class that I'm up in the middle of the fucking night trying to turn in and do PSETs. I'm also in the biggest show of my fucking life that was spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically taking a lot of energy. And I loved it, but it was taking a lot of energy. And I wore a lot of hats in it. I was a collaborator and dancer and a student in the show, but I also was assistant costume designer. And then one of my jobs was working in the costume shop. So I was doing so much shit that in order to keep up, I was drinking dirty chais. Now, mind you, a bitch is already anxious. A bitch has already had a few panic attacks here and there, right? But not enough for it to be a disorder, right? I went from drinking caffeine maybe like once or twice during the finals week to 3 or 4 times a week. And that shit had me fucked up. It had me fucked up. I was having panic attacks out of no fucking where, couldn't explain it. And then the stress in my body started to affect my vision, so I couldn't see. And I'm like looking around, and I used to have 20/20 vision. Okay. and I'm like, can't see the shit on the board. I can't see a motherfucker like walking up to me to like say hello. So now I'm panicking over my eyesight. And then I had went to see the eye doctor about it. They're looking at my eyes. They're like, actually, there's nothing wrong with your eyes. And I'm like, how the fuck is there nothing? They even said I still had 20/20 vision. I was like, ain't no fucking way I still got 20/20 vision because I can't see the same way that I was seeing before. I went to the doctor because I was starting to experience like really a lot of stiffness in my joints. And then they sent me to urgent care, and then the urgent care sent me to the emergency room. Oh, a bitch was just panicking. They were like, no, bitch, you might think you have MS, which I did. I diagnosed myself with MS. And they were like, no, bitch, you don't have MS. You're just anxious. And honestly, I felt gaslit and played with. And I'm like, I feel like y'all trying to make it seem like what I'm experiencing is not real. But it is real. My eyesight is different. My joints are moving differently. And just because y'all motherfuckers can't find shit, I just didn't know how physical stress could manifest. And that stress was a very, valid answer for what was happening. And I tried to dissolve everything through natural remedies, right? So because I really didn't want to take any pills. And I was trying to hit the yoga and the meditation, but things just kept getting worse. Like my insomnia was on a whole nother fucking level. I couldn't go to sleep. Mind you, it was because I was drinking caffeine. You drink caffeine after a certain point in the day, bitch, you're not falling asleep. I did not know none of this shit, but I'm thinking it's me. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying and shit. I would wake up and my whole right side of my body would feel paralyzed. Da 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 da. So that was very tumultuous my senior year, right? So I'm navigating anxiety that is induced by doing the fucking most, and also kind of like health anxiety because I'm really panicking the most about my health, but I can't avoid that because every time I look at my eyeballs or every time I move my joints, I'm reminded that something the fuck is wrong and that nobody can tell me what the fuck is wrong besides I'm stressed. I'm in therapy about it, and majestically when it's time to go to therapy, a bitch is just so having such a great day. And I'm like, every other day before this, in between my sessions weekly, I am in hell. But for some reason, with my overachieving perfectionist ass, when I get to my therapy session, I'm just like, today is a great day. And I'm just so, I'm great. Cause I want to do therapy well. Oh my gosh. Anyway, eventually I give up on all my little remedies and shit because shit is not working. Okay, Stanford was a very unnatural ass place, which calls for some unnatural ass shit. I need to get some fucking Lexapro. Lexapro changed my fucking life, and I was able to finish it because before I was on Lexapro, I would sit down to write my thesis and I would instantly get headaches. Anytime it was time for me to do some homework, I would get migraines, like pain shooting through my fucking head. Like, no, bitch, you're not working. You can't concentrate. I got like, I forget what I sent this shit the other day. I forget what the fuck this shit is called. But I got accommodations, get a reduced course load, and I started working with somebody to help me try to focus and shit. And I felt undisciplined, and I felt like I wasn't really able to push through, and everything was on the line. Like, what if I don't graduate on time? What if I don't get this shit turned in? What if I can't do my honors thesis? And everything I planned is just getting knocked the fuck out because I'm just not able to perform at the level that I'm used to performing because I had literally deprogrammed my body and my spirit out of it because I'm doing the healing work. So I couldn't continue to perform in those kinds of ways and still try to show up for myself from that grounded spiritual place. So when I get on Lexapro, I'm able to get this shit together, but then we graduate into a fucking pandemic. People are dying out of fucking nowhere from this virus. And I'm living in like the epicenter where they like, I'm in the Bay, and this is where motherfuckers is, catching this shit at record speed. This is where this shit is really growing and spreading. So obviously everybody was panicked and had anxiety there. But imagine having panic disorder before that. I was all kinds of fucked up. Like, it was really, really difficult. It was a very difficult time in my life. I feel like I graduated with the last hair on my chinny chin, okay? And finally made it through that bitch. And somehow I have manifested the perfect conditions outside of, what's happening in the world. I told Spirit what I wanted when I graduated, and I got that. I was able to secure about $14,000 or something like that. And yeah, back then I could survive off of $14,000 for 6 months. I even paid off a few of my credit cards. I had got furniture and an apartment, and my aunt had gave me her car, and I had turned my garage into a studio for sewing. So I was sewing inside of there, and I was doing this fellowship and all these things. I had another small job that I was doing, and but everything was great. I had everything laid out for 6 months. I was cool, and I was a working artist. I was literally just a working artist. And but because of the angst and the panic, and because I decided that after I graduated, I felt fine. I didn't need Lexapro anymore. And should have definitely stayed on that shit for a little while longer. Um, I couldn't help but think incessantly, like every day, what the fuck are you gonna do when all this shit is over? You need to get a fucking job, bitch. That's what was on replay every day, every day. What the fuck are you gonna do when this shit is up? Get a job, ho. You're gonna need a job. Get a job. So instead of being a creative artist for 6 months like I was supposed to be, I hit the ground trying to like get on LinkedIn and find a job and do the the respectable thing that a new person in the sphere of, that went to Stanford is graduating, what they would do, right? Mind you, I'm living my fucking dream, but I'm anxious. And I'm panicking. So I divert my time to doing that. And then lo and behold, in 3 months, I literally vibrated everything out of my experience. My aunt called me and was like, I want my car back. Don't like the car I'm driving. I'm going to sell this one. I'm going to take that one back. I was supposed to move in with my sister. So I had terminated my lease early. It was in the same bill. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to slide in this shit. With my sister, we're going to live together. We're going to cut costs, together. And the day that my shit was up and I was packing my house, my sister called me and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I still had to pack all my shit up and I had to go stay with my mom. Now I don't have my studio. Now I'm trying to turn my mama's living room into my sewing studio. I broke up with my nigga. All this, everything just gone. Just gone. And I was like, damn, all I could think about was what the fuck was I going to do when this shit went away? And now I fucking know. Now I fucking know. Because what I rehearsed when it was all going to go away was that I was going to be doomed and it was going to be awful. And so I had to figure out how to get out ahead of it, right? I was really practicing the energy of what I was experiencing. Everything came out of my experience. So I was pretty keen. I understood that pretty early. I had left and came to the Bay for a little bit and then moved back home in December of 2020. And it was supposed to be temporary, but it ended up being longer because of the person who I was going to sublet from. When I got back, my grandma, she was drunk, but she was a channel nonetheless. And she was like, I know you don't want to be back. And I know you're thinking, it means something bad about you, whatever. But like, you needed to come back home. And, we all think you're so brilliant and you're so bright and I think you can do anything, but we don't understand why you're anxious. Like, why are you anxious? The fuck are you like worried about? Nobody is worried about you or what you're able to do or what you're able to produce. No one's worried about you, but you are. And it's like, she's like, one of your biggest gifts is that you can think and think and think, but you can also think and think and think. And that's what be having me fucked up. But she was like, imagine. Ooh, I get chills thinking about it because my grandma ain't never talked to me like this before. Not specifically like this. She's always been my biggest cheerleader, but she ain't never pulled up on me and using like law of attraction vocabulary. So she was like, imagine you go on this retreat. Like, close your eyes. She told me, close your eyes. I'm gonna cry. Imagine going on a retreat and at the retreat, you just get to relax and and at the end of the retreat, they tell you, whatever you want to do, we're gonna fund it. Whatever you're going to do, whatever you want is fully funded. We got it. We're going to back you. Just hold that. How does that feel? I was like, has this bitch been... She's so funny. She hate when I be calling my grandma a bitch sometimes. Lord Jesus, help me. And she be on my ass about it. Sorry, girl. But I was like, where she start listening to Abraham Hicks or like The Secret or the Law of Attraction stuff? Like, where the fuck she learned this shit from? And I was like, she's so right. And she was like, I just start crying. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Cause I was just so devastated about graduating and having everything and then losing it all. And yeah, I felt some kind of way about having to move home. That's not the life I was supposed to be living. I was supposed to be out the house. This is the whole point. I was grinding so I can get the fuck away from the house. I wasn't supposed to be able to come back. And then in 3 months, damn, bitch, you didn't really last very long out here in these streets. Obviously, there were a lot of factors, but that's what my internal dialogue was like. And that really stuck with me, and it kind of helped ease a little bit of my like anxiety. As I thought I had gained so much weight, I cut my hair off. Diana was on the struggle bus. Diana was on the struggle bus. Diana was driving the struggle bus. Diana had a struggle bus company. Diana was struggling. So my anxiety eases up a little bit. And then in February, my grandmother passes away. And so here's another level of stuff and of grief. And, she was 60. So nobody was expecting this. She's always had health issues due to her like addictions and things like that. To alcohol and earlier in her life to other drugs and things like that. But essentially, yeah, she was trying to stay sober and, her liver shut down and her organs shut down and, that was that. But that was really hard to deal with. And I'm just asking Spirit, like, okay, I want to move the fuck out the house with my mom. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm starting my business. So this is important to put into the mix, the business. I'm starting my business. I am a fashion designer who is a reality creation enthusiast and is an energy healer. And I got my Reiki certification that summer. And I was like, I just really want to start my business of making intentional clothing. Clothing, this is what my honor thesis was about. Clothing um that we can curate to a degree to like help us towards our own individual liberation, but also collective liberation. And it was basically from my world in costume design and helping them create a world around a character and how, in my experience as an actor. So, we could rehearse all motherfucking day, but when that set started to get the fucking together, and when I put that costume and makeup and that hair on, bitch, I am the fucking character. I am no longer Diana. When that costume get on, bitch, call me such and such. Not Diana. I'm ready to do this shit, right? And I was like, okay, I need to learn how to like, not need to learn. It's like, okay, I think the collective really needs this. I need this. And my honor thesis was called Womb Space, Marvels of Our Own Inventiveness. And a lot of my work, my scholarship work, and also my creative work was around what I called a project that I did one summer was called Evelyn Intangible Inheritance. And my middle name is Evelyn. My grandmother's middle name is Evelyn. My great grandmother's middle name is Evelyn. My mom's middle name is Lynn. So it's Evelyn is kind of part of my intangible inheritance. And I did a series of interviews with my grandmother and my mom and my aunt and my siblings, my sisters, talking about men, money, mothers, their mothers, and like motherhood and their own creative practices. And I recorded everybody and I had some questions and I was supposed to turn into like a book. Like I was trying to write a fictional book. I was trying to be like Toni Morrison, because I felt like I could relate to Toni Morrison novels because there's always a house of women who's, a grandma, a mom, and her daughter. And I felt like I grew up in a house like that. And I loved how Toni Morrison just made you really love the antagonist and sometimes hate the protagonist because they were written as such complex and complete characters. And that was the work that I was trying to learn how to do about my mom and my grandma and the men in our lives and just seeing them all as complex human beings. Um, and I was trying to write a story about that, but I was taking creative writing classes or whatever, but all of my work has been about intergenerational healing through creative practice, but also through the scholarship that I was learning about what was actually happening to us as a Black community, from the war on drugs, from the prison pipeline, from like um, when the government and like Western medicine was after Black women's womb spaces and was doing like forced hysterectomies and all these kinds of things to disconnect us from our wombs. And scientifically, what do our wombs represent? But spiritually and creatively, what they represent. And it was called Womb Space Marvels of Our Own Inventiveness. So it was kind of like a journey from, the straw of it all, the fucked up shit of it all, to how do we really envision and create a new life for ourselves through fashion. And if I was going to create a world and create a set and a feeling and activate the kind of feeling of it, and there was a lot of ritual associated with it, I would love to complete this project still at some point. But anyway, the whole premise of my business still to this day is about how can we use fashion to support our reality creation and support our energetic healing, right? So I'm doing this shit. I'm getting orders. My mama really ordering a lot of shit, but I'm sewing. I made some fucking shoes, some Converse shoes from scratch for my fucking mom. Like, I'm just in creative bliss. I'm in Joann's every motherfucking day. But I'm like, bitch, you're running out of money. So here's the same thing, bitch. I'm back living the life. I had a garden in the backyard. I'm doing Reiki on my friends and I'm growing closer to them, being able to offer this service. And I'm finding that like the Reiki, um, what am I saying? My Reiki, Lord Jesus, activation, I guess, is really opening me up spiritually. And I'm reading all these incredible books. It was just a really great time. But in the back of my head, I'm always like, bitch, you should be doing more. You need money. You need money. How are you going to make the money? Mind you, my life is really pretty okay. But I'm like, I want to be in the Bay. I don't want to be where I'm at. I want to be around with my friends. And how am I supposed to find niggas if I'm in, this white ass area and I can't, ain't no niggas out here for me for real. Like, I got to get back in the mix. Ain't no niggas really out here in the Bay either. But, I digress. That's not true. But for me, I digress. Anyway, I'm being really hard on myself. So I call myself using the law of attraction. I get a job. I'm working at a Black arts nonprofit. I moved back to the Bay. And basically my awakening continues to deepen because spirit had asked me like, do you want me to give you a fish or you want me to teach you how to fish? Like, which to me was, I can give you shit, or do you want to know how to keep this shit on a 100% on a daily basis? Do you want to become a powerful manifester or an organic manifester? Like, this shit is just on autopilot for you. And I was like, yeah, that's what the fuck I want. High achieving ass, So now these moments, these opportunities that spirit is trying to show me where my resistance is are getting thicker and thicker. I'm having to learn like how to not make money based decisions, because every time I make a decision based on money, that shit really falls through. Like, if the only thing in the room is the money, it's gonna fall the fuck through for me, because that's the heart of capitalism. In order to participate in capitalism, spirit was telling like, you have to really not believe that you are inherently taken care of. Because if you were really in your magnetism bag, if you really believed in the energy of what Earth really is and how Earth is like the energy of Earth is multiplication. Everything on Earth multiplies and knows how to like create longevity for itself. That is the energy of Earth. The fear matrix is what got us fucked up, thinking that shit is finite, urgent, lack. If I don't do this shit right now, if I figure this shit out right now, there's no way, And I've basically been going through this cycle over and over and over again to really collect the things that feudalism and capitalism and its derivatives have really taken from us, from my lineage, and how we keep this machine moving. One of my auntie mentors also said, people say like, the master's tools won't dismantle the master's house, which I think is true. But the reality is like, we're bricks in the master's house. The top 1% is not keeping this shit afloat because they actually control us on an actual day-to-day basis. They've created such a, excuse me, they created such a dominant energy of fear and lack that we keep up ourselves. And even if you are the most in the fucking, most in your religion and most in your spiritual practice, the whole point of capitalism is to make you feel like these systems are bigger than whatever religious or spiritual, beliefs that you subscribe to. Like capitalism, these motherfuckers, these white like none of these motherfuckers is more powerful than Source. So I need to figure out how to get to that place. I kind of jumped. I quantum leapt pretty big from being like, oh, I just want like a house and a studio and a car, which I still want those particular things as we get into like how I'm gonna change my life in 90 days or whatever the fuck. Or I'm gonna attempt, I still want those things, but like how I get them is what's been changing over the last 5 years. So I thought I could just work and get it, get a job, work it. But I'm like, oh, okay, if I'm at a job, I actually need my job to like feel more like this, not like that. Okay, I gotta bounce. And okay, so now I'm gonna do this like this like consulting work shit. Okay, because I want more liberation, more freedom of my time. But to do this kind of work, to be a freelancer and to be an entrepreneur actually takes a different set of codes and beliefs than the 9 to 5 does. So now I gotta develop those fucking codes to get there. Then I'm realizing even more things that I want. So as I'm integrating more things, the vision gets bigger, and like how it feels and how I maintain it keeps changing into something that feels like a fucking luxury, but it's actually our birthright, which is like we should all be able to be creative, have really healthy, good quality fucking food, breathe high quality, great air, okay? Be able to get to point A to point B, wherever, however it is. Like if we on a train, if we on public trans, be able to do that safely and cleanly, okay? Or if we got a car, whatever that is, being able to get the fuck around and to get the fuck to, okay? What the fuck else I'm saying? Have healthy connections, thrive in communities. This shit, all the shit that we dreaming of is so fucking bare minimum, but it seems so far-fetched because of the dense ass lineages that we're moving through, right? So I'm doing all this work. Right? And I'm releasing a lot of things. I'm learning how to like do things for the love of it instead of for the antithesis of it, right? I went so hard in school because of what I did not want to be. Not because of what I really wanted to be, because I didn't even know what the fuck I really wanted to be. So how do I do something? How do I like launch my business services? And because I love it and not because like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur now. And every 2 Reiki sessions is my fucking phone bill or some shit like that. Like, I don't want to view my life work, my purpose work as a line item on my income like that, right? Which means I have to develop a different relationship to spirit. I have to develop a different relationship to money. So over the last 5 years, I've been in the fucking like hyperbolic time chamber, okay? I've been a fucking pressure cooker, becoming the diamond that I feel like I am now. And would I change it? No. Was this shit hard as fuck? Yes. Yes, the fuck it was. But I love this shit and I would do it again because the results are always there. I am so significantly different and I know so much more. And Spirit has put certain books and people and like mentors and YouTube videos and all kind of shit in front of me that's helped refine, the way I view the world and the way I show up. I love this shit. I fucking love this shit, right? Okay. So I think this is going to be the end of the first video. This shit is 40 minutes. That's really wild. I told y'all it's not a brief bitch. That's it. So this is video 1. Long as fuck. Thank you for fucking with me if you fuck with me to the end, even if you had to like speed my ass up. But I already talk fast as fuck. So if y'all spit this shit up, I bet I sounded like straight gibberish. But thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next video where I talk about like, okay, bitch. So you did all this work. This is where you're coming from. What the fuck are you about to do now? Okay. Thank you.